again, fellow RC enthusiasts. This is your host Tom Cogswell from Horizon Hobby and SpektrumRC, here to give you another quick hit tutorial video. In this video, we're going to be talking about the DXs and how to change the stick modes on it. Stick modes are essentially just the configuration of the output of the sticks and the channels that they control. So throttle is on the left with mode 2, which is the default, and you can change it to mode 1 where throttle is on the right, and so forth. So, to do this, there are essentially 3 steps. One is to make sure that the radio is up to date. So if you've gotten one recently and this is late September, you probably need to update it, and we will have a link to how to update it up in the top right hand corner for you. So go ahead and click on that link if you need help updating the radio. It's essentially just like a lot of our other devices that can be updated with the Spektrum USB cable and also the adapter that comes with the DXs. This, if you need to buy it separately, the part number is SPMA3068. Just look up serial adapter and you'll find it. If you bought one open stock, it'll come with that. If you got one with an airplane, it won't. So the main thing you'll have to know about using the adapter cable, this guy here, with your DXs transmitter to update it, is that you're going to plug in these 4 pins. Really, we're only using 2 wires, but it's a 4-pin connector into this port here. So you got these 4 exposed pins. You're going to go into that connector, and you're going to put the blue wire. So if you're looking at it, you're going to put the blue wire towards the bottom down. And it's not going to hurt anything plugging it in backwards. It's just not going to work. And then you're going to plug your update cable. And then you're going to plug your update cable into the female end of this servo lead, and you're going to plug it in so that the signal is on the same side as the blue connector, just like that. And then, like I was saying, just follow the updates instructions for pretty much any other radio that uses this USB cable to update the radio to the latest firmware that's available. Or if you've purchased this model in the near future, then it may already have the update on it. And then step 2 in changing the mode is you're going to be holding the trimmers in a certain fashion, and I'll show you how to do that. But then step 3, and I want to warn you guys this, is that you are going to be opening up the radio. You're going to be taking these 6 screws out of the back and opening it up, and I'll show you how to do it. And it's really not that bad, but I want to make sure that you are comfortable doing that. So, first part, to change the modes, we hold these 2 trimmers outward. You actually hold them out. And then while you're holding it out, you'll turn on the radio. You'll get that doo-doo-doo kind of noise. Once you've gotten into this programming mode, there are a couple modes like this one. This one in particular is indicated with the blue LED behind the Spektrum bars. And then you'll see one of the 4 LEDs lit up here. These 4 LEDs are what's indicating the mode. Pretty simple. The first one is number 1, mode 1, and then so forth up to mode 4. To change the mode, you press up on the elevator trimmer, or give it down elevator trim. Or, I guess if you're using a different mode, that's going to be a different trimmer. But it is this one on the right, and you're going to press it up, and you're going to hit it. Each time, it's going to change the mode. So now it's in mode 4. Or if I wanted to be in mode 1, which I'm going to change it to, I would put it on there. To save the setting, you don't power off, you simply hit the bind button. When you hit it, the radio turns off, just like that, and now it's in mode 1. But that's not all you have to do. Like I said, we have to do a physical adjustment or change to the radio by taking the 6 screws out of the back. 6 screws are Phillips head screws. We'll go ahead and knock it out. Once you've got them all loosened up, if you haven't done so already, take out your batteries, just so you don't short anything out while you're in there. Alright, so as you're cracking it open, just be conscious that there might be things, there's like the battery box is going to be tethered to the back of this case. Oh, there's even some switches and things like that too. So as I'm in here, I'm going to want to unplug these cables before I pull the whole thing apart. Alright, so I've got those two unplugged, and then the shell just kind of cracks open like that. Alright guys, so now that you have your DXs opened up, beyond doing the programming change that we had just done, there are some screws on the back of the gimbals that you are going to need to adjust. Namely, it's going to be the screw right here that changes the mode. So that changes the spring loading on that gimbal essentially. And you're going to do the adjacent one or the opposite one on the other gimbal if you're changing it to mode 1 like we are here. And you're also going to turn in these screws, and then you may and likely will have to adjust the spring screw. So let's get a little close up and we'll go over that. Okay, so like I was saying, we're going to turn this screw here. It's already bottomed out. We're going to turn it out. You're going to turn it counterclockwise, and you're going to keep turning it, and you'll feel as you're turning it out that this gimbal will spring back to the center. Now, it may not have a good, and you'll see here, it's still kind of flippy floppy in the center like that, okay? So that means that our spring doesn't have enough tension on it. And this guy here is the spring for that up and down movement. And you'll see there's even these little markers that kind of give you a good gradation of it's a graduated marker there that's of where the spring is. I like to turn it about halfway and then kind of just test it out. So to get the spring to extend, you actually turn it in clockwise, like so. So we're going to go about halfway, and then we're going to feel the spring. If that feels good to you, leave it where it's at. If you feel like it's too loose, keep turning it so that the plunger or this little stopper here on the screw is going out. Or if you want it to be looser, turn it counterclockwise to depress or put more slack on the spring. It's a little too much for me. I might go just a tad out. Yeah, I think that feels good. While you're in here, you might as well do some adjustments to your other springs if you feel the need. This one here is for the left and right axis, and then essentially the same thing on the other gimbal. And I'll turn it around here. So on this gimbal, we want this one so that the throttle is on this side, so we want to make this so the spring is relaxed here. So I'm going to do essentially the opposite we did on the other gimbal. I'm going to turn this guy, which is the spring, almost all the way so that the plunger there goes all the way down, kind of relaxes the spring on there. And then also we're going to turn this screw right here inward until it bottoms out. What's that doing, or what that is doing, is it's bottoming out and it's pushing on the mechanism that attaches the gimbal to that spring there. And while you're looking at this, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get a good view of everything for you. But essentially we're just putting it so that that spring is no longer really connected to the gimbal. Beyond that, we'll look at these two straps here. So you've got the throttle straps on either side. The one with the indent is what gives it kind of a notchy feel. So if you want that notchy feel, you're going to turn this screw in here. And I'm just going to turn it in pretty hard so that you guys can hear it and see it as I'm going. Now I'm using a number 1 screwdriver. I might be better off with a number 0, but it seems to be working as long as I get good pressure on it. And you guys can hear it. You can hear that. That's that ratchet feel. It's what we call ratchet. This other strap is the tension strap. So if you don't want ratchet, you'll turn this one out and this one in until it kind of puts some tension on it. Don't use both, use one or the other in my experience. And then on the other side, where we just took throttle off of it and put it over here onto the right gimbal, we may need to loosen these up. So So just as a precaution, I would say just go ahead and loosen these up until they're fairly level with each other, these two springs, and that they're not touching the back of the gimbal. You'll see inside here that there's this part of the gimbal that's touching against these two springs. And you'll see in here the part of the gimbal that's touching against these two friction springs. You got the one with the notch and the one that's just friction. You don't want those resting on the back of your gimbal that you're using for elevator. And that's the adjustments that you make on the inside of the radio. Let's go ahead and slap it back together. Okay, and that is it. That is all you have to do on the inside of the radio. Next step is to plug in the two plugs that you unplugged earlier, put the 6 screws back into it, and you're good to go. No count. Okay, and that's it. That's how you change your DXs transmitter from mode 2 to mode 1, where the throttle stick is now on the right. I personally like to fly with mode 2, but for you guys that need to fly with a different mode, follow these instructions to get it all set up for you. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comments below, or if you have other suggestions for more Spektrum tech tip videos, go ahead and also leave those in the comments below. This is Tom Cogswell signing off for this video. Happy flying, everybody.